You're very welcome to another edition of the entertainment.ie movie show, brought to you by Odeon Cinemas, who operate almost 80 screens in 11 locations around the country. This week we're going to be reviewing Wonder Woman and Baywatch. And if you happen to go and see Wonder Woman and Baywatch, or any two movies in June in any Odeon cinema, you can then win a third movie of your choice for absolutely free once you hold on to the tickets. We've also got a competition this week via Odeon. If you can tell us who the star of The Mummy is, it opens next week. You could win a VIP experience in the Odeon iSense. That includes pimped up popcorn, which is that delicious popcorn but with all the butter on top, and you also win a bottle of Prosecco for you and three pals. So in order to win those VIP tickets, all you have to do is tell us who the star of The Mummy is. He's one of the most iconic film stars of all time. We talked about him last week, loves a run. The Mummy's in Irish cinemas from next week. This week we've a new addition. We've a new addition to the couch. Yay! Deputy Editor Dave O'Shaughnessy joins us in place of Brian Lloyd, who is gone on a yoga retreat with the happy pair. Needs to find his namaste, needs to find his centre, Dave. Also joined by Dean Molumby, staff writer, as always. Guys, Dave, welcome along.
Thanks for having me.
You're normally sitting in the corner, kind of like royally looking over.
Yeah, giving Brian
quietly judging and disagreeing.
That's me. Quietly judging.
We're going to talk movie news first, guys. Before we get into the reviews. I know you were a fan of Wonder Woman, but did anybody really see Kong Skull Island? I mean, I know it did okay at the box office.
I saw it. Yeah, it was just okay.
It was just okay. It was grand.
It was grand.
But Warner Brothers are doing that thing now where they're doing this bigger universe, because that's the whole crack now with franchises and stuff. Yeah. Everything needs to kind of be interrelatable. Did okay at the box office. They're doing Kong versus Godzilla now, and Alan Wingand is going to drag it, who did The Guest.
Yeah, which is an amazing movie.
You loved The Guest.
I
loved
it was
one of your favourite movies of the year it came out.
Yeah. Was it 2015?
2015, I think. Yeah, we're getting old there. We're getting old.
I know. But it was like a revelatory move by Dan Stevens. Like, I really was like, oh, this is just Downton. I think he'd only done Downton at that stage. There was no Beauty and the Beast in the works or anything like that. So it was like, oh, he can really act and also play convincingly American and do these other things. So yeah, it's fantastic.
It's so much going on in that film too.
I know.
Yeah, like he's like, because I'd never watched an episode of Downton Abbey. And then I'd see the star in this movie. Like, he kind of looks familiar, but I hadn't seen him in anything before. Yeah. We know how you feel about Beauty and the Beastie.
It's okay.
He was. I mean, he didn't have a whole lot to do in it, really, did he?
Yeah, no, he didn't actually. Just this week, you can see it on site if anyone hasn't yet. But the CGI, the footage of it without CGI, so just like Dan Stevens, like in costume, came out, and it's so funny looking. Like, people should go and watch it, because he has like the big suit and all the stuff like on his face and everything, and he has these weird kind of like bouncy shoes so that they can animate. You know, the fact that he has this kind of.
So he's not as handsome. Basically, that's what we're saying. Not as handsome as he was in that T-shirt.
Yeah, I don't know
like
how
in the Guest, like just kind of kicking ass in The Guest. What do you think of this guy for director for a huge franchise, Dave? For something like Kong versus Godzilla?
Well, I mean, The Guest was handled really well. The pacing in The Guest was fantastic. Like, everything, like, he seemed to bring a really good team to the table in that. Yeah. So I imagine that when it comes to selecting his editor, his music, and his sound people, that'll be really good. It'll be tight in that way.
It's going to be bigger.
Hopefully, if you just get the budget and be like, do what he wants to, as opposed to having loads of control by the studio. So that's the one concern. We loads of studio involvement, I think. But no, I think it's a great choice.
When films are that expensive.
Yeah.
Although, in all the press that's gone around saying that Adam's going to be directing this movie, he's going to be directing this new franchise, Tempole, whatever it is, nobody's mentioned the Blair Witch.
Yeah, the Blair Witch.
The Blair Witch was awful.
Yeah.
You know, that was a monumental misstep. And to be fair, he took the piss out of himself on Twitter over it.
Yeah.
So we think he's a good choice. We're happy with him.
I mean,
for Kong versus God, for two giant things knocking the crap out of each other.
Yeah, I'm not sure, like, what's the experience with CGI. That would be my one concern, I guess. Like, The Guest was all, as far as I could tell, practical.
Yeah.
And lots of action in that, like, and it's great. But I don't know if you're going to have, like, a giant monkey and a giant dinosaur, like, battling it out.
That's just going to look.
Yeah.
It probably has people for that, I would say.
I would hope so.
These huge teams. Okay, a few weeks ago we talked about the Ryan Reynolds, Samuel L. Jackson, and that movie that was coming out, The Bodyguards.
Hitman's
Bodyguards,
yeah.
which just kind of seemed to come out of nowhere. Yep. Trailer came out of nowhere. We weren't sure whether it was a Visa ad or what it was, or whatever it was. Something kind of similar with this one. The Channing Tatum, Daniel Craig playing a hillbilly, Steven Soderbergh. Where did this come from?
Yeah, I genuinely hadn't heard of this movie at all until the trailer came out this week. I didn't even know, like, Steven Soderbergh was still, like, doing anything, you know. I know that he has had, like, a few kind of hit and misses since, like, doing the Ocean's trilogy. But those are three,
including a couple of the Ocean's trilogy. This is Lucky Logan we're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or Logan Lucky.
Logan Lucky, yeah. Not to be confused with Logan, which at first I thought there was some connection.
Or Lucky.
Or Lucky.
Or Logan's
Yes.
Run.
Yeah.
Logan's Run.
But it does look like with this storyline, it stars Channing Tatum and Adam Driver, that he is kind of going back to the heist roots.
Yeah.
So I think it should be like really interesting. I like the look of the ad. It looked like it was kind of funny, fast, Daniel Craig in a comedic role. So that'll be interesting to see. So yeah, I'd be looking forward to this.
This is Daniel Craig, Dave. Just, you know, I can play Bond and I can play a hillbilly.
Yeah.
I got range, man.
Yeah, he's probably going like, I've done Bond so often now that I want to just do something that I can flex my arm and be like, look, I'm funny. I'm a funny guy. Look at me. Give me money. I'm funny. Yeah, I didn't know the movie was happening at all. I was like, until I saw the trailer and saw his bleached blonde head, I was like, oh, that's why he was popped with a blonde head.
Yeah.
Like 12 months ago, and I was like, just thought he bleached his head. Thought he had a bit of a, I don't know, meltdown or something. You know, that way I was like, oh, I'll be bleached.
You had like a Britney moment and just went all peroxide.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, happily surprised that it's happening.
Because like it was Soderbergh's last movie, Magic Mike 2. Was that his last movie? No, he didn't direct Magic Mike 2. He directed his DOP on Magic Mike 2. But he's one of these directors who's made some sporadic classics.
Yeah.
Amongst like real obvious studio content, like you forget some of the movies that he's kind of directed in his time as well.
Yeah, like Erin Brockovich back in the day, which I love. I think that's like Julia Roberts' best movie. I absolutely adore that film. And then he did a few others like Contagion, I think.
That's the one I was thinking. It was just kind of just kind of like bang average.
Yeah. But I suppose like Contagion, this has loads of quite famous people in it to try and keep satisfied. There'll be a lot of characters going on, but we know he can handle that. Like so.
That's true.
Yeah, like Riley Keough. Who else is in it? Hilary
Swank.
Yes.
Katie Holmes.
Oscar winner Hilary Swank.
Yeah, Katie Holmes.
Yeah. Riley Keough. She's a girlfriend experience, a show that Soderbergh produced.
Yeah.
That's really good fun as well.
Yes.
So that's out in August anyway. And that's going to be really interesting to see because again, it kind of came out of nowhere. Definitely. And August seems to be the place where they put these movies too. Okay, we're going to move on to reviews now. And actually, speaking of Channing Tatum, we're going to talk about Baywatch now, right? Might seem like a strange segue. I know you haven't seen Baywatch, Dave. You have, Dee, right? Obviously, Zac Efron's the co-star and The Rock is the star. Yes. Throughout the whole of Baywatch, and Efron has some decent laughs in this for a film that overall isn't great. I was just thinking Channing Tatum turned this down. Channing Tatum turned down that Zac Efron role. Did that make sense to you?
I didn't know that. Did he?
No, I mean I'm guessing.
Oh, you're guessing.
I'm guessing.
Okay.
I'm no Hollywood executive.
Well, no, because someone who one of the girls who I went to the screening with actually pointed out how the movie does actually kind of reflect Zac Efron's own kind of life recently and how he kind of went off the wagon a bit and had to go to rehabilitation and everything, and then he kind of came back, and she was kind of talking about how the storyline in this movie kind of reflects that, because obviously he's like a failed Olympian and everything, and he's trying to make a comeback now with becoming a lifeguard, which I didn't like read into at all, but she saw that and I was thinking actually that is kind of an interesting casting choice in that regard.
There's no metaphors in Baywatch, Dee. Come on.
Maybe.
It's like Zach, just work out as much as you possibly can. Don't eat anything that isn't just chicken breast and leave your shirt off for the entire movie. You didn't mind this so much. You gave it 2.5 stars for the site.
I gave it 3 stars.
You gave it 3 stars for the site. Very generous.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, we've mentioned this a few times before. If a comedy makes you laugh, like, I'm going to give it like 3 stars. I'd be hard pressed to give it any more than that now. But it did make me laugh, particularly the first half. I felt like the second half for me went a bit off the wagon when they got into kind of the crime plot and everything and trying to foil the drug scheme
into the
and
plot,
everything.
just the plot in general. That's when it fell out. That's when it kind of fell off the rails.
That genuinely was it, And I mean, I had a lot of laughs, particularly between Dwayne Johnson and Zac Efron, just constantly kind of at each other. I did find it funny, and I felt like the crowd who were with and everything were kind of all rallying together and laughing as well. So I mean, it's a film that you can definitely go into with a cynical perspective and hate it. Yeah. But if you go in,
natural state, but anyway, it's definitely not saying.
Dave goes in at 1 star. He's like, entertain me.
Exactly.
Entertain me. So overall, grand. You got some laughs out of it. You saw it with an audience. You got a few laughs.
That was just it. Yeah.
Would you go and see it, Dave?
I'd no. Unless you want me to see it.
Not interested. Unless we're getting paid to see it.
No, I've heard too many not bad things, but just people are just
the reviews are atrocious.
Yeah.
I mean, it's at 15% or something wrong. Tomatoes isn't always the most reliant gauge of a film. Been good enough, but 15% is pretty damning.
The fact that The Rock had to go on a Twitter campaign to be like, ignore the critics, it's a great movie. I'm like, how much did you invest in this?
He produced it as well.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on to something that's gotten far better reviews. Something you did get paid to go and see. Dave O'Shaughnessy and see.
Yes, I did.
Wonder Woman. This is blowing people away.
I mean, I think you have to start with, yes, it's good, but start with the fact that Batman and Superman
lower your expectations
and Suicide Squad are the bar. So the bar is basically on the floor. So any movie could limp across the bar and be better than those two. that said, as superhero movies go, it's a very, very good superhero movie, in my opinion. You reviewed it, so you obviously have more thoughts.
Yeah, I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Giddy,
I
dear,
came out
giddy.
elated. Me and Dave went to it together, and I was sitting there trying to be calm, but I totally just wanted to lean in my chair and be looking up at the screen. I just felt such a joy watching this film. I was totally elated, exhilarated from start to finish. I adored this.
What did what nailed it for you? Was it the action? Was it the portrayal of the character? Comedy?
It was really everything. It had everything in it. It had the comedy. The characters were really well written, well developed. Not too many, which is definitely a big flaw in a lot of superhero movies. And I mentioned this in my review, like Suicide Squad, even Captain America: Civil War. It never felt formulaic, or it was trying to be anything. It was just trying to tell the story of this character. It never felt obliged to anything, except maybe, and we were talking about this, the ending, the kind of final battle sequence was very comic booky.
Why is it too CGI? What was it?
Yeah, and even the villain himself is almost a bit cartoonish.
Danny Houston's the villain, isn't he?
Yeah. There's a bit when you get into it, the characters, not the characters, the villains are just kind of a bit, you're oh, you're here for Wonder Woman to fight against.
Yeah.
It's not I don't get why you're doing this. They're very just here's a villain, fight them, as opposed to the Joker.
Comic book movies seem, I was
it.
going to say that. Comic book movies seem to either have completely anonymous villains or iconic ones. It's either Heath Ledger or it's Danny Houston playing a randomer in Wonder Woman.
Yeah, with a terrible accent. I'm going to say the accents, I don't know how this doesn't annoy you so much. There were German people speaking in English with German accents to other Germans. I was either speak in English and we'll know it's supposed to be in German, or speak German. That really annoyed me. And the Amazon's accent at the start of the movie. This is me nitpicking because I just always find things that I don't like. But so the Amazons that live, it's Connie Nielsen and what's
she
her name?
plays her mom, doesn't she?
Yeah, and from House of Cards, Robin Wright. Yeah. They all have this thick, almost Angelina Jolie in Alexander, where it's almost from Transylvania, and they're all
overacting.
They all talk they're from and I was what are you doing? And I was in my head, all I could think was, could Gal Gadot not do a flat normal American accent, so everyone else had to mold their accents around her so it sounds from the same place? Possibly. That was my one thing, but it pulled me out of the movie a lot. And I was they're Diana, you can't leave the island, men are bad. And I'm just speak normally, and feel the moment, and same with the German accents too. It was this is lurching me away from being completely enveloped in the story.
You just want it to be as organic as possible and miss that action and that kind of fantastical world. What about Chris Pine? He's getting actually kind of decent reviews for this.
Yeah. I really, really like him in this role. He's really likable as an actor, and he's really likable.
I disagree. I find him really hard to like in anything.
I love him, in the Star Trek movies and everything.
I mean, I think he's just playing kind of a cocky, I think he's basically playing a kind of probably a heightened version of himself there. I mean, look, what was Brian's favourite movie last year? He was in Brian's favourite movie last year. Hell or High Water.
Yeah,
he's good in that.
He is good in that, and he's similar in this. He's got more comedy to play with in this. Yeah. But he does. They're a great double act.
And that's really what it comes down to.
Yes.
And I mean, the fact that she has to play this whole naive, I don't know what the human world is, and she could play it very almost like the Little Mermaid and looking at his fork and being oh, a dingle hopper. She's actually she's looking around at things and she's what's that? But she has you can see in her that she's thinking. She's understanding and learning and not just being a baby walking around. Yeah. And his foil to that is that he's don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. But then she kind of shows him right. It's very well done. It's they really hone in on the fact that it's a balance between the two and not just she's an idiot, here's the world, and he's going to fix it for her.
Yeah, there's huge investment in the story and in the characters, and it's just really well paced, and it's just a really good movie, not just as a superhero movie, which I feel even with a lot of and this isn't even just comparing it to Warner Brothers DC, but also to the Marvel movies, in that they just feel they're trying to be the next best superhero movie. Yeah. This movie didn't feel it was concerned with that. It just wanted to tell a good story and really hone in on this character and show her in this world and to show her grow. You know?
So Patty Jenkins deserves serious credit for this.
Yes.
Absolutely.
DC Universe have been in a bad place before this.
Absolutely.
She really deserves credit for it.
Yeah. I feel it's the first, what was the first Captain America? Just called the...
Winter Soldier.
No, the first one was just Captain America.
Captain America,
Captain America. It's like that. I feel it's a good place for them to go from now. And it's it's bookended by you can feel studio interference. There's lots of like references to Aquaman at the start and Batman, and then at the end it's like, here's the future and where it's going to go, and it's a bit like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. But in the middle of it is a solid hour and a half of
just
decent,
really
good movie. Just everything is paced beautifully. Like,
good to see him. Looking forward to seeing that one, lads. David Shaughnessy, thanks so much for joining us this week.
No.
Will you come back again?
I mean, if you'll have me.
You're gonna
if Brian lets me sit on the couch.
Brian lets you sit on the couch. I want to see you and Brian on the couch together, actually, just to see how that one goes down. Max Ramsbottom's going to jump in next week, and he's going to review The Mummy next week, so we're looking forward to that one. So just a reminder, guys, if you want to win the 4 VIP passes to any Odeon cinema, all you have to do is tell us who the star of The Mummy is. If you tell us below in the comments, we will pick a winner at random on Monday and post below. We'll be back at the same time next Thursday, folks. Thanks so much for joining us.